Warren Buffett. The name itself is practically synonymous with investing success. But his whole philosophy, it isn't about some secret formula or crazy risky bets. It's actually a rational, timeless code for thinking about money. So what we're going to do here is distill the core playbook of one of the world's greatest investors, using his own words to guide us. You've probably heard this one before. It's maybe his most famous quote. And it really cuts right to the heart of his entire strategy. He's telling us that being a great investor isn't about predicting what the market's going to do next. It's about controlling your own emotions in response to its wild mood swings. And it sounds so simple, right? But actually doing it, that's probably the single hardest thing for any investor to master.
Yeah, but that's the real question, isn't it? How do you actually train yourself to buy when everyone around you is panicking and then be cautious when everyone else is totally euphoric? Well, the answer, or at least Buffett's answer, comes from this really powerful mental model he learned from his mentor, the great Ben Graham.
So how do you master those emotions? According to Buffett, you've got to stop thinking of the market as this all-knowing force. Instead, he gives us this brilliant analogy. He says, picture the market as a single person, your business partner, and his name is Mr. Market. Every single day, this partner, Mr. Market, shows up, and he offers to either buy your shares from you or sell you his. But here's the thing. This guy, Mr. Market, has some serious emotional problems, as Buffett puts it. The prices he quotes you have almost nothing to do with the business's actual real value. Nope, they are driven entirely by his wild, unpredictable mood swings. So some days, Mr. Market is just on top of the world, completely euphoric. He's offering to buy your shares at ridiculously high prices. And then on other days, he's a complete pessimist, totally convinced the sky is falling, and he's willing to sell you his shares for just pennies on the dollar. He's basically the definition of a manic-depressive business partner. This is the whole point. You are the one in control. You don't have to trade with this guy. His mood isn't supposed to guide you. It's there to serve you. It's an opportunity. You can just ignore him completely, or even better, you can take advantage of his foolishness. So let's break that down. The whole point is this. When Mr. Market is terrified, he's basically offering you a wonderful business for a ridiculously low price. And when he's euphoric, he might just offer you a silly price for your wonderful business. The trick is to use his mood and never, ever let his mood use you. Okay, so you've learned to tune out Mr. Market and his crazy mood swings. What's next? How do you decide what to actually buy? This brings us to the second core idea. You're not just buying a ticker symbol that wiggles on a screen. You are buying a piece of an actual business. I love this quote because it separates two totally different things. Look, Mr. Market is screaming a price at you every single day. But your job is to quietly calculate the value, the true underlying worth of that business. The entire game is just to buy a business for a price that is less than its value. Simple as that. So how do you figure out that value? Well, Buffett uses this 4-part checklist that seems almost too simple. First, and he says this is a total deal breaker, can you actually understand the business? If you can't explain it, you stay away. Second, does it have good long-term prospects? Think about where it's going to be in 10 years. Third, is it run by people who are both honest and good at their jobs? And only if you can say yes to all 3 of those, do you even bother with the 4th question. Can you buy it at an attractive price? Now this next quote, this one shows a huge shift in how Buffett thought about things over the years, and a lot of that came from his partner Charlie Munger. He realized that the quality of the business you buy is everything. A mediocre business, even if it's super cheap, is just a trap. And why is that? Because time is supposed to be on your side, right? But with a bad business, time actually works against you. Early on, he had this strategy he called cigar butt investing. The idea was you'd find this soggy old cigar butt on the street, it had 1 free puff left in it, you take that puff, and then toss it. It's cheap, sure, but it's not a great experience. He learned the hard way that it's just so much more profitable to own a great business that can keep growing for decades. All right, so you've done the hard work. You found a wonderful business, you bought it at a fair price. So, now what? The answer is, you let the most powerful force in the universe, or at least in finance, do its thing. You let it compound. Just look at these numbers for a second. These are adapted right from one of Buffett's letters. After 30 years, getting a 15% annual return doesn't just beat a 10% return. It absolutely demolishes it. it creates almost $5 million more. That is insane. And the engine behind that? It's these wonderful businesses reinvesting their own earnings at high rates, which creates this snowball of value that just gets bigger and bigger, faster and faster. That, right there, is the mind-blowing power of compounding. So, how do you get this magic to work for you? You do almost nothing. To really get the benefit of compounding, you need time. A lot of time. This isn't about jumping in and out of stocks. It's about ownership. I mean, when you find one of these truly great businesses, why would you ever want to sell it? And this is really where everything we've talked about clicks into place. You need the emotional discipline to ignore Mr. Market trying to tempt you every day, and you need the patience to just let a great business do its thing over years, even decades. You really need a temperament that gets more joy out of watching grass grow than from frantic day-to-day trading. But okay, what actually makes a business wonderful? What makes it worth holding on to forever? And what allows it to keep compounding its money at those high rates? For this, Buffett has another fantastic analogy, the economic moat. He wants you to picture a great business as this incredible economic castle. Now, in a capitalist system, you're always going to have competitors trying to attack that castle and steal its riches. The absolute best businesses have some kind of protective barrier around them, a moat that keeps all the attackers out. Let's hear how Buffett puts it in his own words. He's looking for that terrific economic castle, that's the great business, with an honest lord in charge. But the key part, the thing that protects it all, is that wide and long-lasting moat. So what are these moats made of? What do they look like in the real world? Well, it could be something you can't touch, like the Coca-Cola brand name. That's a huge moat. It could be a structural advantage, like being the absolute lowest cost producer in an industry. Or maybe it's high switching costs that make it a real pain for customers to leave. Whatever it is, a real moat is something durable that makes it incredibly hard for someone else to come in and steal your business. And out of all of this, the single most important word is durable. A moat that can be crossed easily isn't worth anything. The whole game, really, is figuring out if that company's competitive advantages will still be standing strong in 10, 20, or even 30 years from now. So, when you put all these pieces together, the right temperament for handling Mr. Market, the discipline to only buy wonderful businesses, and the patience to let them compound inside a strong, durable moat, you see the whole playbook. You see, it's not about being a genius. It's about being rational. It's about having a solid, unshakable foundation of rational thought. So if there's one giant lesson to pull from the entire Buffett Playbook, what is it? I think it's this. Successful investing isn't about trying to predict when it's going to rain. It's about building a really solid arc long before you see any clouds. It's about shifting your focus away from speculating on the market and toward the simple, rational act of owning a business. And that brings us to the final question, and this is really one you have to ask yourself. Is your whole financial strategy built around trying to outguess Mr. Market, trying to predict the unpredictable, or is it built on something much simpler, the rational, patient ownership of wonderful businesses? The answer you choose, well, that's probably going to define your results.